Hello everyone. So today I thought to continue discussing about Benjamin and also to continue discussing this verse from Isaiah, chapter 26, verse 20. Go, my people, come into your chambers and close your door about you. Hide for but a moment until the wrath passes. So Rabbi Ginsburg said that this is the social distancing verse of the Torah, of the entire Tanakh. And the three words, Ami bo בחדריך, that my people come into your chambers, into your rooms, go into your rooms, equals 367, which is Corona in Hebrew. So, hiding for but a moment. So this term, kema'at rega, for but a moment, Rabbi Ginsburg relates to Amalek, to our arch enemy Amalek, arch enemy of the Jewish people. And what does it say about Amalek? So this is from the Torah, from Bamidbar. This is chapter 24, verse 20. This is actually from the prophecy of Bilam, the wicked Bilam. What does he say? Reshis goyim Amalek v'achriso ad. That Amalek was the first of the nations, and his fate shall be everlasting destruction. In the blink of an eye, this is Amalek. Right now, we pray every moment that Amalek should be eradicated, and that all evil should be eradicated. Amalek is the root of all evil, the worst of the worst. It should all be eradicated, and Mashiach and the redemption should come immediately, like in the blink of an eye. So we're talking about going into our rooms, and then in the blink of the eye, it will come out even better. We'll enter into the redemption. But what happened in the prophecy of Bilam is that unfortunately, that after he gave his prophecy, that he instructs Balak to they send the Midianite daughters and to be promiscuous, to seduce the men. And then Pinchas, through his act of zealousness, stopped the plague. A plague ensued. Right? There was the Midianite princess called Zimri, and there was the prince of one of the tribes, Cosby. They were engaged in relations, and so Pinchas threw a spear, and that stopped at the place of their promiscuity, and that stopped the plague. So when we're talking about Benjamin, talk about overcoming, withstanding the test of. So Joseph, his older brother, was withstanding the test of promiscuity, of the seduction of Potiphar's wife, and Benjamin. Originally, the tribe of Benjamin succumbed to that with the story of the concubine of Giva, but then they did teshuvah, and then there was a whole rectification process with Tu B'Av, the 15th of Av, where they were able to snatch maidens for marriage, the single men. It's the holy wolf. Benjamin is called the holy wolf. So in body, mind, and soul, it describes three primal fears: the fear of insanity, the fear of murder and the fear of rape. So we discussed, as is discussed in that book, about the fear of rape relating to Benjamin. So now we're going to say something that is a bit of a new way to look at it, is that we can understand all three fears as a type of fear of invasion, which is the fear of rape. That when we were discussing the sun, to be afraid, to fear the invasion of the sun, to fear the sun entering us. So that's, so okay, so let's understand this. Amalek is, the rectification for Amalek is Mashiach. It's the same value as Nachash, snake. So the unholy, like the primordial snake, which sought to confuse Chava, Eve. So Amalek is the Nachash, the snake that seeks to confuse. And to eradicate Amalek is to eradicate any mental illness and any type of insanity, which is also like the spirit of folly, the Ruach Shtus, which leads a person to sin, God forbid. So the rectification of that is Mashiach. So first, to say what is protecting us. So we said that the immune system is safeguarding the body, like Hod is the sphera, the divine channel of Hod, of thanksgiving, is to just be simple, wholehearted in our service of God. So that safeguards us are to be a tamim, to be tamimus, simple simplicity that safeguards us from foreign invaders, both spiritual, physical, foreign invaders. And we're talking about the psychology and the spiritual side of things, right? As we discussed, I'm not a doctor, so this is talking about the inner dimension of the Torah. So too, this happens at every level, this safeguarding. So Rabbi Ginsburg explains that this verse from Isaiah, that go, my people, come into your chambers and close your door about you, hide for but a moment until the wrath passes. So where do we see Shamor, to be safeguarded, is a Shabbos consciousness, a Sabbath. This is a Jewish Sabbath. That we're safeguarded on the Shabbos, on the Sabbath. And also, Shamor v'zachor b'divrei, that God said both these two words at once. To safeguard and to remember the Sabbath day. It's one of the 10 Commandments. So Amalek seeks to eradicate memory, to blot out memory. So we have to work against that and to remember the Sabbath, to remember God in every aspect of our lives. So what does it mean to fear being raped, to say it simply, if you're being invaded at the level of the mind? I'm going to read something from, again, this book by Rabbi Ginsburg, my teacher, 137, The Riddle of Creation. And it's related, so we were speaking about this light reaction. So in the physical, when the sperm meets the egg, so there's this light, this zinc reaction for physical offspring, potentially. And we talked about the spiritual side of that, and we talked about the giving birth to new insights as it starts from the mind. So fear of insanity is fear of wasting one's insights. Let's put it that way. Wasting the light of one's mind. Just like we need to make sure to safeguard against wasting physical seed. So we safeguard against wasting this light, these new insights. Because we want to raise up students, we want to teach, we want if we have a good insight, we want to share it with others. But what does Amalek seek to do? To forget, to cool a person down, to confuse a person. The Baal Shem Tov says that the value of Amalek is the same as Safek, as doubt. So all of that we want to totally eradicate, immediately eradicate. Okay. So this is there's some relationships here. First, this is let's read this first from Body, Mind, and Soul. This is page 105 in chapter 4 called Origins of Disease. If the Jewish people are likened to a lamb surrounded by wolves, then Benjamin, symbolized as the praying wolf, is the wolf within the lamb. In Kabbalah, he represents the fertile feminine womb of the collective soul of Israel. In the terminology of Kabbalah, the Yesod of Malchus. The rectified receptive power of the soul that guards itself from foreign invasion and fights off enemies, while sanctifying itself to receive and nurture the holy seed given it from above. Ultimately impregnated with the seed of divine light and life force, this is the spiritual power of the Jewish people to become a light to the nations and achieve forever peace between wolf and lamb. So we're safeguarding to be or la'amim, to be a light into the nations. It's very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. So now we're going to talk about the electromagnetic coupling constant. So one of the functions of alpha, of approximately 1/137, and as we discussed in previous classes, 137, among many other things, hundreds of other correspondences, as mentioned in this book, many of them. 137 equals the value of Kabbalah. So, in one of the functions is as follows of alpha. In quantum electrodynamics, alpha is directly related to the coupling constant, determining the strength of the interaction between electrons and photons. The theory does not predict its value, therefore alpha must be determined experimentally. Okay. So we said that if the photon is like the soul and the electron is like the body. I don't know if we said it, but that's what it says elsewhere in this book. So when we talk about the light making contact and charging the electron, so it's like the masculine making contact with the feminine and charging in order for there to be this productive reaction that ensues, and we're talking about right now in the mind. So this light-filled teaching of the Torah of Mashiach, of the redemption of the Torah, the revelations of the redemption. So according to the four-letter name of God, this is page 116, 117, of 137, the riddle of creation. So electromagnetism corresponds to Vav, the Vav of Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei. So it's the third letter of the Tetragrammaton. You're going to see here. The letter Vav is considered the most significant letter of the essential divine name. It represents the force that connects the hidden aspects of creation to the more tangible aspects. Electromagnetism therefore corresponds to the Vav of God's name. The two aspects of electromagnetism, electricity and magnetism, correspond to the chasadim and gevuros of das. The letter Vav connects these two together. The Vav begins in das, the sphere of knowledge, divine channel of knowledge, and the origin of electricity, and extends to Yesod, the sphere of foundation, the seat of magnetism. So this is, again, giving birth, acting on our good thoughts and motivation from. So this also happens. We discussed with the physical creation of seed that it starts off by connecting to the marriage setting of marriage, and then until it actually leads to the creation of physical seed that then is received by the female. But also this, as we discussed in the spiritual construct, like a teacher and students, that it's sharing new insights, new ideas. So this relates to this drive to reveal that which was previously concealed. So we said that this ultimately sources in the superconscious. It relates to Joseph, right? And he was able to do that through overcoming the test of the seduction of Potiphar's wife. So we're talking about the two brothers of Rachel, of Mother Rachel. And it's just an interesting gematria, another value. This is on page 115 of the book. That Rachel is equal to 238. The big question, maybe one of the big questions about, or difficulties in order to bring together the four fundamental forces of physics for the grand unified theory is gravity. How do you put gravity together? So maybe they say maybe at the very high temperatures, like or at the Big Bang, maybe all these forces were together in this primordial soup. But how do we do it? We want to have something mathematical that we can. So we would love to associate alpha to the gravitational force, but it hasn't happened yet, at least as of the publication of this book, which wasn't so long ago, 2 years ago. So gravitation in Hebrew, Mashiach, is equal to 375. And adding 137, our favorite number 137, is equal to 5. One second. So 375 is Mashiach. So Mashiach, gravitational force, is equal to Rachel, 238 plus 137, among other things. So that's just an interesting meditation that we're starting to understand how to include alpha with gravity. Just beginning to get there. The other thing that one other beautiful numerical value that 1 second. Just finding it. It relates to Joseph. So I thought I had the place, and I have a lot of bookmarks in this book, a lot of napkins. Okay, here it is. So this is page 97. When Joseph, so we discussed about Joseph revealing his identity and about connecting to our true identity, revealing our potential, giving birth to our potential. So this is a very exciting gematria, numerical value. So this is page 97. When Joseph revealed his identity to his brothers in Egypt, he raised his voice and wept. And Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" That's from Genesis 45 and chapter 45, verses 2 and 3. The sum of the numerical values of these two expressions is 1,370, which equals 10 times 137. The numerical value of "I am Joseph, is my father still alive?" is 333, which equals 9 times 37. And it's discussed throughout this book how 37 is paired with 137. They're two numerical pairs. Okay. So what are we saying is that this all comes down to the approach that we should take to, let's say, conspiracy theories, to things that maybe initially we're skeptical upon. So first of all, we have to understand that there's this hesitation because of a fear of insanity. And any fear it's something that's leaning to the left. It's unrectified. It's exaggerated. The only thing we should have proper awe of God, not to fear anything. So it means it's over exaggerated. So, for instance, when something is suggested, like we'll give the example again of Dr. Zelenko, that he's coming out with a meta-analysis of 2,000 patients between him and I think the amount of patients that he's seen is as of last week was 1,450, and he treated 405 with his cocktail of hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, and zinc. And again, I'm not a doctor. But then you put together with other doctors, they have about 2,000 patients, and there's this hesitation to say, it's not from the proper channels, it's anecdotal even. Where's this coming from? It's coming from what's an establishment? An establishment is a house consciousness. But the proper house consciousness is like the Shabbos consciousness, that we're all surrounded, we're in our homes, even in our rooms, and we're surrounded by the Shekhinah, the divine presence of God. It's very peaceful, right? Very, very holy, very special time. And this is also like a Mashiach consciousness, a redemptive consciousness, is the Shabbos state. But as happens in the secular realm, there's an approximation to that. And the approximation is an establishment, whether it's the medical institution or the academia or the news media or whatever. All of these are buildings, so to speak. They house certain thoughts and certain beliefs, and this is in order to safeguard a certain construct that they've created for themselves. But we're not supposed to worship false idols, right? So anything that's a false belief, we need to eradicate from our midst. And the ultimate false belief is Amalek, which is doubt and confusion and coldness. And so when we hear someone who's really just sincerely wants to help people, and he's helping as many as he can, and as we said, that the most important thing in our service of God is to be a tamim, to be sincere, simple, tamimus. And we said that his suggestion of zinc, it seemed so simple. Like, it must be more complicated than that. Maybe not. Maybe, and then he has his cocktail of. So maybe it's a treatment that will only cost $12 or $20. That's readily available in generic form. Maybe that's all it takes. And who's to say that it needs to be more complicated? It's spending billions of dollars or making billions of dollars for these pharmaceutical companies. So this is stemming from a fear, and the fear of insanity. So, but again, within the mindset of invasion, that it's a threat to the establishment when you have this someone who's disruptive, who's actually doing something that's working. It's like an invader, and the immune system, if it's the immune system, when it's working properly, fights against those things that it should fight against, and not saying those things that are okay, but we talked about identity, the importance of identity, of knowing oneself and acknowledging one's origin, and we talked about in this class about being an Amim, the Jewish people, a light to the nations. But if there is unrectified fear, and if there's this creation of an establishment of a house other than the proper house, which is the house that we want to build, is the Beis Hamikdash, the Holy Temple. That's the house of our choosing. It's called the Beis Bechira. We talked the last time about choosing a wife, which is Tu B'Shvat. The 15th of Tu B'Av. The 15th of Av is choosing a maiden, snatching a maiden, but in a holy way, the holy wolf, Benjamin the holy wolf. So that's what's going on. On the level of the fear of insanity within the fear of rape, the fear of being invaded by a disruptor who is like a holy wolf, who just wants to help, just wants to cure. And so we should all merit to immediately to build the third temple, and to have the proper house consciousness, the rectified house consciousness, and not to eradicate any exaggerated fear and any doubts, any coolness in our service of God. But it should be like the electromagnetic force, a strong bind between the photon and the electron, between this wave-like state. Don't know so much what a photon is. It reflects the wave-particle duality. As we say, Gale naiva bita niflaos mitarasecha. Open my eyes that I should see, reveal the wonders of your Torah. Gal is like open, revealed, but it's like a wave. A gal is a wave. So it reflects this This wave-particle duality is to, most important thing is to make use of our potential. The light, God is giving us light, new insights, new potential. And either in the context of marriage for healthy children, anyone who needs a shidduch should have immediately, should find. And also to raise up students and to teach the Torah of Mashiach altogether. Thank you.